Welcome to Thoughtspeak, the original Animorphs Podcast, typically dedicated to K.A. Applegate's sci-fi classic, but tonight we've got a little bit of a different program for you folks. I'm your host, Michelle.
And I'm Coleman.
And Coleman, would you like to tell the people who we're talking to today? They should already know because of the title, but...
Yeah, we've been calling you secret co-host. You're just going to keep that title. Chris Grine.
Oh, God. Butcher the name.
Hey, Butcher. Chris Grine, who has been writing and authoring and drawing the amazing Animorphs adaptation in comic book, graphics novel form, as Scholastic puts it.
Just some pretty pictures.
Oh,
definitely.
Man. They've been amazing. We've had him on the show before. He's back. Tonight we're having just an informal chat because we like spending time with him.
The feeling's mutual.
Well, welcome.
Thank you so much for coming back.
Absolutely. I love it. I was excited.
We're excited to have you on here. I have been braving tornadoes to make sure that we're here tonight. And, I mean, you all have just been chilling, but it's been harrowing here in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've had to deal with blizzards the last couple of months, so I'm glad we're all okay, but enough weather-related things.
This is Thoughtspeak, the weather-adjacent podcast.
While we've got the graphic novelist here with us, I would just love to know, because the graphic novel number 3, The Encounter, just released not too long ago, and what was your favorite thing about writing this thing, and what was the biggest challenge in drawing some of the artwork from this book?
I think the answer to that is probably it's the same answer, because I was the most concerned, and I think I talked about this before too, but trying to figure out how I was going to handle Tobias's inner monologue. It is so important in that book. And I had an idea, which is what ended up happening. But, right up until that point when I was doing it, I still was like unsure if that was going to be, the right solution. Can you guys hear me
absolutely.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I was actually really happy with the way that came out. And it seems like, the readers and the fans liked that as well. So that was a relief.
You nailed the look of Tobias utilizing those thermals. Never have I seen such a pretty depiction of a thermal, for sure.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and I always had a hard time imagining kind of the last half of the book, because they're in a cave for a while, and then you have this giant truck ship. That's how they describe it. So I really appreciated how you depicted those. Those made a new imagery for me.
Yeah, it's fun because I'll have an idea of where it's going, but sometimes I don't even know what the scenes are going to look like until I'm start penciling that page, and sometimes it works, and sometimes I really struggle to kind of figure out what the scene looks like or where it is, and I really do do deep dive into the books, whatever details are there. I try to include as much as I possibly can. I mean, I'm not pointing out everything, but a lot of it's there, if you're
absolutely,
I appreciate the length that Scholastic is giving you, because compared to a lot of graphic novels out there, you're adapting a lot of the book, way more than I thought it would be.
I kind of figured from the beginning that they would probably try to corral me a little bit more than maybe they have. Like if I turned in like a 200, like the first book was like 230 pages or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were going to go, no. We need to get this down to about 150. And then I wasn't sure how we were going to do that without having some pretty drastic cuts. So what I did was I just penciled the whole thing as I wanted to do it. Right. And then I was just going to kind of see what happened. And then they were like, good. This looks great. Go ahead. So,
that's awesome. You
awesome.
Set the standard early, so they knew that an Animorphs graphic novel is about this many pages to do right.
Yeah, it was. I was actually relieved, because for me, some of the the first stuff that always gets cut, whether it's a movie for length or anything, it's the character moments, and it's the little moments and stuff that don't drive the plot of the story so much as just kind of give you those little looks inside, the relationships and the characters and stuff. And that's the stuff, especially with Animorphs, that I think is the most important to the fandom and stuff. And I did not want to have to, gloss over those moments or, every time Rachel gives Marco a dirty look, I try to just I take my time on those drawings because I love giving her that stink face so much. She just, but it's things like that would be the things that get cut first, and I it would have just broke my heart. So I was really happy that Scholastic was like, no, we're good, do whatever. And it's been good.
What I think is interesting is that there's been plenty of adaptations in movies and books where the adaptation is like a cool thing for people who are fans of the original thing that's being adapted. One thing that I think is great about your Animorphs books is that the scenes of your transformations and mid-morph have gone viral within the Animorphs community as being its own thing. This is something we didn't have pictures of. We had obviously the cover of the books, which is a very marketing version of the transformations, but your transformations are shared all the time, even outside of the community whenever anyone brings up Animorphs, because they're finally depicting what's written in the book and done so well.
I've seen a few of those come across Twitter or whatever, but I really first of all, I didn't know that it was that much, which is cool, but I don't go looking for that stuff because I'm always afraid of what I'm going to find. I'm going to inadvertently step into a room or some group of people who absolutely hate my adaptations, and I'm going to be like, oh, okay, now my feelings are hurt, and I got to go back and start drawing more of these. So I just don't.
I've seen completely, let's call them secular posts on Twitter that are not Animorphs related, not fans, not anything. Somebody just brings up Animorphs, and then somebody posts one of your images, and the reactions I always see are people going holy shit, I didn't think they'd be like that. So to me, that is a compliment to your drawing, is that they're showing the horror, and it's being, again, recognized outside of the Animorphs community. I've run it across at least 2 or 3 posts on Twitter that, again, aren't fans, aren't people within the community or anything like that. So
I love that. That's awesome. That makes me happy because I really do try to crack myself up when I'm doing those transformations. If in the writing it talks about how I think it was it book 2? I can't remember where it was they were birds at the beginning, they were flying around, right? And then they go back to that church tower or steeple or whatever, and they're transforming back. And in the actual the books, they're talking about how the beaks suddenly kind of split into teeth and stuff. And to me that was horrifying. So I was like, oh, that's absolutely happening. I started drawing that in my head immediately. It's just I try to capture all that stuff and still try to make it as gross as I can. And
it's unique to Animorphs too, in the sense that you have horrific body transformations without gore, really. It's painful to them, but you're not seeing blood splurt out or anything like that. So I think that's cool that you got to depict that. That's a pretty unique thing within media.
They've been really good about that too, because even when there has been some gore, it's been mostly animal on alien violence. So I think that's probably why it's okay.
Do you think they let you do the scenes of Cassie's entrails or hanging out and she's trying to morph back?
I don't know. I mean, okay, so in the scene, in the upcoming book, is it The Message? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. It's all starting to get confused in my head because book 3 just came out in October. I just finished book 4. I'm halfway through penciling book 5.
Ugh. Awesome.
I'm starting to get confused where I'm at. But so in book 4, when they're dolphins and Marco gets bit almost in half.
Yeah.
I was like, how am I going to show that? Because I don't want to shy away from it, but I can't just show that either. So I did it a little bit, since they're underwater anyway, and it's a little bit monochromatic looking just because of that. I tried to also have him just a little bit silhouetted, which I thought actually made it a little bit worse. Just visually, because it's you're making up the details in your head, but there's still kind of that cloud of cloudy water around, when something's bleeding underwater. You've seen it in nature shows or whatever. So that's happening while the others are kind of swimming around him. So it's clear what has happened, and his tail is clearly half off, but there's no there's no red blood, and there's no anything too visceral happening. If there is anything, it's all in your own head, which, that's your own fault.
Yeah, no, good. Keep it clean. I'm gonna read these things to my kids.
Now, I will say in book 5, I'm sorry, I don't mean to jump ahead, and
no, go ahead.
I keep interrupting you, but
that's called a scoop here in the podcast industry. So go ahead.
Well, there's the scene in book 5, and I just came to it, and I completely forgot about it, and now I'm like, it brought me to like a complete stop, like a record, like just stop. The scene where, let's see, it's right after the lobster scene. It's right after they leave the kitchen. And then it cuts right to Marco and Jake at an arcade, and Jake's eating like a giant red little bug or something, and Marco's freaking out about it. And it's clearly his dream. He's having a nightmare. And then Jake turns to him, and his entire stomach just swells up and explodes, and guts and entrails are everywhere. And I'm like, this is gonna be interesting, because I'll still try to do it. My art style is it's never gonna be that disgusting, but still I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do that, because I just cannot imagine Scholastic being okay with a child exploding.
That would be an interesting one to keep in there. I would think I'm gonna put your own take on it.
I'm gonna try, but I'm expecting a note.
Chris's series might actually be the first thing to let Scholastic know that these things are in the books, because I think they forgot or didn't read them all.
Good point. They didn't know that it was going to happen.
There's my editor at Scholastic, Zach. He's very well versed with these. I think he grew up with like a lot of the fans, with these books, and he's pretty well versed with it. But then a couple of the other people that I work with, they really like what I'm doing, and they like the books and everything. But I kind of get the feeling that they don't know the books very well. Their first look at the books ever is when they see my pencils and come across the table. So it's gonna be interesting.
They're in for a surprise
a little bit. At least it's a dream, right? So he wakes up, it didn't actually happen, so maybe there's something there. I don't know.
It's that dream gore. That's okay.
I mean, I could see, some marketing team or something down the line, if you get even further, and it's like, wait, why are you drawing pictures of genocide and planets being wiped out? And is this kid traumatized? What's happening here? It's like, it's in the text. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I'm slowly being traumatized as I'm working through these books too, because I'm having to pick them apart on a unbelievably detailed level.
Well, we're reading the ending now. Like, we're in the penultimate book is the next podcast we're going to record, The Answer. And I mean, it gets dark. I mean, way darker than a lot of people remember. And they cared, the Applegates, they cared about depicting war and how messed up it could make kids. And that's what's on the page. So
I love that about it.
I know that.
Go ahead.
One thing that I wanted to know, given that the length of the series is so astronomically long, there's a good chance that maybe you won't be doing those final graphic novels in the series, but how would you draw the team at the end of the series as opposed to the way you're doing it now, which is really interesting to see your take on all these characters that we all grew up with?
I don't know. Like, I think they would like, if I had to think about it right now, like, they would definitely all be a little taller and probably a little thinner just because of stress and terror and stuff. Like, and I would just try to make them look a little bit older. And the things that I've kind of like tried to do with like Marco's hair. Like, I know it started off spiky and that wasn't like the fan favorite thing, but I did that on purpose so I could I could let his hair change over the course of the books, get longer. Every book it gets a little longer down to his thing. And I kind of, so I held back some stuff like that, but man, and I mentioned to I think Coleman that he was like, hey, we're going to be reviewing this book. Do you want to come on and talk about it? And I was like, oh, I haven't actually read it. And I know like the broad strokes of most of it. I know how it ends. I know a lot of the broad strokes, but for me, the fun is because I didn't grow up reading these things. They didn't come out until I was in college, and I mean, then, relationships and marriage and kids and stuff. And it's like, it's kind of hard to go back to, young adult type stuff for a little while.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This has been a blessing getting to be kind of involved with it this way, because I'm getting to kind of learn about this is like a lot of it's brand new for me as I'm going through the books. I've read up through book 10, but I try to not get too far ahead because first of all, I don't want to jinx myself because I really want to keep doing these. I'm afraid if I get too far, they're going to be like, and we're done. And I'll be like, but I got really excited about book 13, or book 14 so I just try to not get too far ahead just so also I have some surprises when I'm going to.
Well, I think we're all really excited to see you tackle Axe. I mean, that's such a huge character, and it's such an interesting series that he's not even introduced until book 4. Obviously,
we just finished the last Axe book.
Yeah, we finished the very last recording, or the last book where Axe is a narrator. So, I mean, he's definitely a favorite within our podcast community.
Oh, he's a favorite anyway. But I mean, I barely got to draw him in book 4, and it was kind of just right at the tail end, right? But that was still fun, and I'm really nervous, just really nervous, just about the fan reaction, because everybody's got a picture in their head of what Axe looks like, and now you're going to see my version, and God, I hope it's okay.
Well, it's pretty vague in the books. I mean, yeah, it's talking about how he's a mixture of all of them, and
yes.
You see it in the fan art. Fan art of Axe is all over the place. So I think, just in your style, it's going to be really cool to see.
There's no solid image of Axe either. Well, certainly as a human, but I think in the Andalite form too. It's
it does seem to be kind of all over the place. Yeah,
but trying to get one other little scoop. We're kind of limited on time here tonight, which just great to have you for as long as we could. But any insight into, have you thought about how you're going to tackle Jake in book 6,
yes.
talking to the Yeerk in his head?
I do have an idea for that, yes, but I don't know if I should tell you.
Okay, that's fine. Keep your secrets.
Okay,
that's fine.
Well, I'll just tell you. This is what I'm thinking, and this could change. So this is just where I'm at right now, in my head. But I really, and part of me thinks it's a cop out, and that's why I'm not sure if I'm 100% on this yet. But I really, really love the idea of doing kind of like an all white background, just all white. Like there's no background, it's just white, and there's like 2 Jakes, and he's kind of talking, so it's like that.
Really hoping you don't change that now. That sounds really cool.
Way more personal. I feel like it's a little bit more visceral too, and and you can have one of them be angry or really, kind of just a different version of Jake, and
the real Jake can be
I think that'll work
and visibly distressed. Whereas Yeerk Jake could be very put together.
I think part of that might be my love of Stranger Things, because anytime Elle's in the upside, or she goes into the
mid-world,
it's all black, right? It's all black except for she's clearly walking in some kind of a water thing or whatever. But I was just thinking too, just just one solid color, and I really think white is effective because it would really make everything else pop out. And I don't know though. I will see where I'm at, but that's where I'm leaning right now. If I had to do it right now, that's what I would do.
We like it.
That sounds really interesting.
We like it.
I mean, the way you could show, and I'm always antsy talking to an actual author who's working on something right now, because we're not giving ideas or doing any input like that. But the things I imagine you could show with that are almost like a physical fight between the 2 Jakes when they're arguing and doing things like that. That's really interesting.
And if they're talking about something, they could just be, one of them could just be holding something. It's just suddenly there. I don't have to explain how it got there or what's going on, or it could be, they could be showing another person or whatever. I can't really remember all the conversation. I'm gonna have to refresh it. I know he's slowly dying too, so one of the Jakes could be getting kind of sick too and weaker, and that's kind of how it goes on.
That's really cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, that's so awesome. Idea. I'm looking forward to this one so much. It's one of my top 5, maybe top 3 favorite books. It's one of those books that everybody remembers, no matter how much of the series they read, because it was just that iconic.
Oh, it's horrifying. It's horrifying.
It's amazing. No pressure. No pressure at all.
To me, I think book 6 is when the first time it really got dark. Like the other stuff got a little violent, and there was definitely people getting hurt and people were dying and stuff was happening. But I think book 6, that part with Jake and, in the cabin where he's tied to a chair and he's dealing with this, it's just really dark because they're waiting for this thing to die.
It was what the series needed at the time, though.
And you've got kind of an Evil Dead vibe with the cabin in the woods and everything going on, which is really cool.
That's why I thought the stark white background when I cut to those scenes would be really effective, because you got a real rustic kind of a woodsy kind of darker, kind of moody, or in the forest kind of a vibe, and then it cuts to like white, where they're in there talking. It's just a very clinical kind of a thing. So
God, I can't wait to see you showing all the attempts that he makes to break out, and every time that they bring him back.
I know.
It's just, there's so
I'm
many
excited
good
too
scenes from this book. I'm so
excited too, man. I'm trying to I'm starting to get ahead of myself. I can feel like I'm really excited about book 6. And here I am. I'm only halfway, probably not even quite halfway through penciling book 5. So I still have a long time to go on it. But
cool.
I do find that it's helpful for me to be thinking about the next book. As soon as I'm done with the pencils, I'll start listening to the audiobook of book 6 while I'm inking and coloring, just over and over on repeat, which is what I do.
Good idea.
It works for me, but it kind of lets certain details just kind of sink into my head too as I'm going. So
totally. Oh, wonderful. Well, we've got about a minute left here, Chris, and I really appreciate you coming back and talking to us.
Well, thank you for having me. I wish I could have stayed a little longer tonight. It's just kids and stuff.
It's my fault for living in Texas. I've regretted it every day. So
well, I'm just glad you guys were okay. That weather sounded pretty scary, so
I appreciate it. But obviously, you're always welcome to come back on. We had a limited time tonight, but any other time you want to just jump on and record something, we just enjoy talking to you and appreciate your time tonight.
Sure. Well, I'm generally available, so if you guys are ever that bored that you want me back, I'll be happy. I will always make time.
You enhance every experience on Thoughtspeak. Absolutely.
That's very kind of you. I don't know about that, but that's very kind of you to say.
It's so great to have another perspective than this guy. I'm sick of this guy.
Well, Chris, we really appreciate you coming on the show, and we love having you on. And I just want to make sure that we thank our listeners for just the resurgence of everything we've had in listenership and people commenting and leaving 1 or 2 reviews that are new. So just really appreciate everything. And I love that we can still do episodes like this that are one-offs. And we got our next book coming up, The Answer, that we should be recording soon and getting out to you guys.
Yes, absolutely. The Answer. I've already read it, and it's a fantastic book. We're going to be getting into the end series, end game, and just a lot of good things to look forward to. But I really quickly would like to thank our Patreon subscribers, because we look forward to seeing all their lovely faces and dollars thrown our way to help this show continue to go on. And we'll continue doing more fun things like this. I swear, I promise. We're going to talk to Chris Grine again. Absolutely. We're going to get the Applegates on the show. I promise you, please just stick with us and we'll do it.
Make some bold promises there.
I might as well. Nobody's listening at this point. They've already tuned out. Chris is gone. So, yeah, here, Patreons, we love you. Nicholas Guy, thank you so much. James Miola, our good friend. Jacqueline Fisher. Ben Freeman, been with us a long time. Thank you, Ben. Ben with us. Penguin Tots, our latest true blue subscriber in the Hork-Bajir level. That's our highest supporter currently. So most valuable army wise, just saying, maybe some of you Yerk tier might want to step up your game. Receive a more powerful host body. I don't know, come join the Thoughtspeak Patreon. It's fun.
I want to make sure everybody goes and checks out Chris Grine's other works. You can see everything he's made on chrisgrine.com. You can follow him on Twitter at chrisgrine. And go, if you haven't picked up The Encounter yet, it came out in October. Go buy it. The Message is coming soon. So many people are looking forward to that book. Me personally, it's Axe. We're getting Axe soon. It's great. So again, thank you for listening to Thoughtspeak. Leave us a review if you can. Reach out to us on Twitter. That's it. That's all the plugs I got.
Excellent. Well, that's a great end for the show. And we've got way more to look forward to. Please come back for the next episode. You're not going to want to miss it if you're an Animorphs fan, or you just like people getting really into like children going to war. You're going to love it. I promise you. Next time on Thoughtspeak. Thank y'all for listening.
Bye, everybody.